That's the reason I formulated certain rules for my scalping, and that has helped my journey over the long period of time. Identified when I'm booking the profits in 5 to 10 points, I also needed to look at exiting all the positions within the 5 to 10 points. I use my previous day profit as a stop loss. That's the mentality which will make you a better trader, especially if you're a scalper. People think that as a buyer you will be able to make astronomical returns. Yes, you will be able to do it, but 90% of the time, hi, I'm Sivakumar Jayachandran, founder of OI Pulse in One Click. In this video, I'm going to be discussing about how my trading journey and what are the things which I do as part of the trading, and how I was able to find scalping which is suitable to me. So I'll be sharing a little bit of knowledge about what are the things which I do as a scalper and what are the things which you can take away from this session. Most importantly, how you can adopt the scalping in your trading style as well. So talking about scalping, many people think that scalping means you needed to punch in the orders right from morning till evening. No, it's not the case. As a scalper, you just needed to find the suitable time when the trade or the opportunity available to you based on the setup which you work on, and just go in, take a trade and execute the trade and exit the positions as well. So normally, what is the time frame which is suitable for trading or the scalping? It is 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And how did I arrive at this one? Most important thing for a scalper, when I was able to book my profits with 5 points or 10 points, I was also trying to hold my positions when it is going beyond that. Then that's when I realized, if you're a scalper, if you're trying to book your profits with 5 points or 10 points, make sure that you cut your losses also when it is around 5 or 10 points. That means you needed to have a risk reward of 1:1 or a risk reward which is suitable to you. Yes, there are days wherein you would be looking at certain setups wherein the market is provided or expected to take a support. In those days, how you needed to handle those. As a scalper, yes, those are going to be very tricky. That's the reason I formulated certain rules for my scalping, and that has helped my journey over the long period of time which I've been doing it. So, whether I was doing scalping right from day one, no. I was trying to do intraday positional and everything. Those were the strategies which were not working for me. So, what made me to work on the scalping? Pure. The mindset, and the most important thing is how you are emotionally connected to a particular setup. So, when I say emotionally connected, each and every one of us will have similar kind of an attribute wherein when we buy something, when we look at the profits, we immediately tend to book the profits. But when it comes to holding the losses, we become positional. Why? We think that somewhere the setup is going to bounce and then it is going to be recovering all the losses and giving me the profit. But most times it doesn't. Most of the traders, if you go and analyze your trade book or your journal, 90% of the time you would be a very good trader. In fact, I would say if you are like and rated based on that particular performance, you would be in the top 10 in the class. But unfortunately, what tends to happen? Our 90% performance doesn't get counted. The remaining 10%, where we tend to hold the positions, when it is going against us, we tend to lose a lot of money. So that's when I identified, when I'm booking the profits in 5 to 10 points, I also needed to look at exiting all the positions within the 5 to 10 points. Another thing, if you think about being a scalper, you needed to work on a smaller time frame, and most importantly, try to close your positions or trail your profits once you are in a profit. So those two things which has helped me a lot. Now, coming back to the stop losses, how I determine it. First and foremost, I use my previous day profit as a stop loss. So when I say previous day profit, as a scalper, you needed to frame some rules. What are the rules which I frame? The previous day profit is going to be the most important one. Imagine today I make around 10,000 rupees in the market. For the next day morning, when you're opening the trade, when you're opening into the 9:15 trade, when I know that I have made 10,000 the previous day, that can be used as an initial stop loss. Your mindset will have a huge refresh, and you will feel that yes, I'm not going to risk my capital. I'm going to be using the previous day profit as an initial stop loss. You will be able to trade with the freedom. Imagine if your previous day is a loss, many people ask me, Shiva, you can't make money every day. Yes, we can't make money every day. If your previous day is a loss, use 10% of your deployed capital as a stop loss for your opening trade. Imagine if you're deploying around 1 lakh, out of the 1 lakh, your stop loss should be around 10%. That doesn't mean you needed to deploy all your trade capital in the opening trade itself. All you can do is deploy 5 to 10% of your capital for the scalping and then wait for the opportunity to add or pyramid either on the upside or on the downside. Don't try to deploy all your capital. That's one important thing, because 90% of the traders, what they tend to do is they deploy entire capital in one single trade and they keep on waiting it. Yes, I've also done that mistake. So the stop loss, use the previous day profit plus use 10% of the deployed capital if the previous day profit is a loss. In case if you have encountered loss in the previous day, use 10% of the deployed capital. Most important thing, once you made money in the morning, now you needed to protect the previous day profit and use the intraday profit as a stop loss. Yes, that's the mentality which will make you a better trader, especially if you're a scalper. And as a scalper, don't try to involve in all the candles just because between 9:15 and 3:30 the market is open. Never try to do that. Keep a target, be it a profit or a loss. Beginning of the day, set yourself, this is what I wanted to achieve. Be it 1%, that's what exactly as a buyer we tend to do it. Though the market gives you a plenty of potential as a buyer, and people think that as a buyer you will be able to make astronomical returns. Yes, you will be able to do it. But 90% of the time, whatever the money which we would have made in the morning, we tend to lose it in the second half. That's the reason I keep insisting people come into the market with a clear mindset. What is that you wanted to achieve? Keep a target or a stop loss. Once you achieve either of them, try to shut the system, move away from the trading terminal. Focus on something else. Focus on learning. Focus on other things. Then automatically you tend to be in the business for a longer run. If you think that what are the past losses and I wanted to recover it in the same day, that's when 90% of the traders keep losing the money. Whatever the money that they would have made in the morning, they not only lose that, they also tend to lose the capital by end of the day. Next, apart from the morning trades, what are the other things which I tend to do? I look for several setups during the course of the day. My opening and the favorite setup for me is the opening trade. So how do I analyze the opening trade? I look for various data from the parameters. As I told you in the previous video, my favorite setup is the Bank Nifty. So for Bank Nifty, what are the things which I watch? First and foremost, I look for the global cues. When I say global cues, I look for how the world markets have traded, especially the Dow, which is my mother market. So how Dow has closed last night, how the Dow futures is open in the morning, how the Asian markets are performing. I normally track the Nikkei and the Hang Seng, which used to be the ones which will open right before our markets open in the morning. Nikkei and the Hang Seng. Earlier, Hang Seng would have a lot of role because it is one of the emerging economies. But since almost last 2-3 years, if you have seen, with more of China coming into the picture, Hang Seng has lost its value and it is not aligning with the global markets. Yes, Nikkei will do whatever the the Dow futures did, and the Dow previous day, whatever the Dow which has been doing it, you will see a similar kind of a scenario playing out in the Nikkei in the morning. Coming back to our markets, yes, I'll be looking for any post-market reactions or any updates which has come in for either like in a banking stocks or for any large cap stocks, and that can have a serious impact on the Bank Nifty index or the Nifty 50 index. Plus, I'll also be looking for any morning cues from the RBI or from the government or any articles which has come in the newspaper or any particular result that is going to be coming in on that particular day. All these things needed to be tracked as a scalper. Next, as a scalper, you needed to know whether the market has closed on the previous day high or the low, how the open interest data is playing out. So when I say open interest data, that plays a huge role in my trading, because for the futures and options, I can't trade without the open interest data. So I track that through in, day out. And most importantly, it will also provide me a clue both for positional and also for intraday. So when I say positional, I normally look at the daily open interest and also the hourly interest, what is happening, whether long buildup is happening, short buildup is happening, short covering is happening, long unwinding is happening. Based on the index futures, I tend to trade on the options. Though normally I don't trade on the index futures, I trade on the options using the data for the futures data. Now comes the most critical element. During the course of the day, we tend to see a lot of data, how you needed to connect the dots to take a trade. So what are the things which I normally look at? I normally look at the Dow futures plus the open interest data on the futures. Next comes the intraday chart indicators which I use. So what are the chart indicators which I use majorly for scalping? I use the VWAP, which is my most important indicator, followed by the Supertrend, followed by WMA, and then the Parabolic SAR. So all these four, imagine on a particular day, if I wanted to buy a call. So for the futures, these guys should be trading below the candles so that it gives me a confirmation that the market is expected to go up. So how do I know that it is going to be a buy? First and foremost, the candle should be above the VWAP, Supertrend on a 3-minute time frame or a 5-minute time frame. The settings which I use is 10-2, and most importantly, the WMA 20. So what is the WMA 20? Volume weighted moving average of the last 20 candles plus the parabolic SAR. When all these four indicators are below and if the candles are forming above, the next thing which I look for is the volume. I wanted 2 consecutive bars of more than 50K for Bank Nifty, 125K for Nifty on a 3-minute time frame. So this is a strategy which I've developed in 2016, which is called as a 2-candle theory. Why I developed this strategy? What I have seen, whenever the market moves with the volume, consecutively with the volume, and especially 2 consecutive candles, I have always seen 80% of the time the market is giving me the rewards. And that is when I realized, yes, I needed to develop this as a strategy. Earlier, my volume parameters were around 15K and 20K, but over the period, the F&O volume has grown tremendously. At this current juncture, I normally use Bank Nifty for 2 consecutive 50K bar, and for Nifty, I use 125K bar. This is again on a 3-minute time frame because as a scalper, I use it on a 3-minute time frame. And most importantly, if I am needed to be bullish, I needed this data to form after 9:45 before 2:30. So if I'm using the 2-candle theory, I will use it between 9:45 to 2:30. Prior to that, I normally use the opening candle strategy and also the open and high strategy. After 2:30, it will be a BTSD strategy. Why I do that? The pure reason is whatever the action which has happened previously, they tend to do a follow-up in the morning or they tend to cover the positions in the morning. So give them some leeway. Whatever the intraday traders who are coming in, they normally tend to create the positions after 9:45, wherein a large chunk of money will be coming into the market. That is when this strategy has worked tremendously well. Now, I've told you about the open interest and then these indicators. So when the indicators are giving you a buy signal, the open interest data on the futures will normally giving you a clue, either a long buildup or a short covering. Look for the volume even in that. That will give you a confirmation. Plus, you also needed to look at the RSI levels. These are the 4 things which I look. When I look at the RSI levels needed to be between 50 and 75 if I needed to be bullish. 75 to 80 is the area wherein I will take the profit booking. 80 and above is overbought. I won't take any fresh positions. Similarly, if the market is expected to be bearish, I look at the RSI between 40 and 25 to take my positions. Between 25 and 20 is the area wherein I needed to book my profits in case if I would have bought a put or sold the call or sold the futures, I would do that. Below 20 is an oversold territory. I wouldn't take any fresh positions. So what is happening between 40 and 50? That is called as a no trade zone. Whenever the market has not moved with the volume, you normally tend to see the markets trading between the VWAP and the Supertrend. That particular area is called as a no trade zone. And when it is trading in the no trade zone, you will normally notice that the RSI is also going to be trading between 40 and 50. So a clear identification would help as a scalper. In those scenarios, what I normally tend to do, where will I get an opportunity? Once the volume is breaking out, 2 consecutive bars of more than 50K, third candle will be my entry with the first candle low as my stop loss. Why first candle low as my stop loss? Because when the market is breaking out with the volume, anybody who's putting in the large, like in a fund house which is putting in the markets to take the market higher, they will try to come and defend at the first candle low because they have put in their money. Naturally, you can expect one round of support to be coming in. If these guys are exiting their positions at those levels, then I have no other choice other than to cut my loss. But as a trader, once the move is happening above that territory, I will keep on holding to my position with the previous candle low. As a scalper, you can think about every candle low as your stop loss, and as and when it comes down, you can take a hit. Now, the most important thing here as a scalper, look for the risk reward of 1:1. If you are a positional player, you can keep the first candle low as a stop loss for the through the day. And if it is a trend day, you normally get to see every hour a new high is getting created or a new low is getting created. And that is going to be an important one as a scalper or a positional player who wanted to run the rally through the day. So this is for the bullish setup. The bearish setup, the same applies. The only difference is now the candles needed to be below the all the indicators needed to be above, and then the candles needed to be below. So for a bullish setup, the candles needed to be above. For a bearish setup, the indicators needed to be above, the candles needed to be below. Once it forms, you just needed to play and then go according to the trend. This particular two candle strategy, which I call it as a two candle or the kingdom model, I've explained it in various forums, but this is going to be a most important one. It can give you the result which you have been looking for as a scalper. Because as a scalper, all I need is just quick movement, and these things have given me enormous returns. There are days wherein when the candle is moving like this, you would see either a overbought or a oversold territory when the two candle is getting formed. In those scenarios, don't panic, don't enter on the third candle. Wait for the RSI to cool off between 70 and 50. You will normally tend to see that. And when the candle volume is not falling more than 50K, use that as a support trade when it is nearing the Supertrend or the WMA or the VWAP. I will try to initiate a trade over there and then get the move in the following candle. So based on my experience, this particular strategy has given 70 to 80% accuracy, and I would openly say that it has helped benefited me a lot. And I would have maybe refining the process over the years, but many people say once you share a strategy in the public forum, it doesn't work unless and until some big money wanted to completely change the strategy. You will normally see these strategies working. So where exactly I can use this strategy? Can I use it in the stocks and futures and everything? No. I would recommend using it in the bank nifty or in the nifty. I wouldn't recommend trading on anything else other than these two instruments. The pure reason is these are the most mature index, and that's where I've seen the results performing very well. I would not apply these strategies on any other stocks or any other new indices like the Fin Nifty or the Mid Cap Nifty or the Sensex. I wouldn't even use it. So as a scalper, you can use it on a 3-minute time frame. Follow all these methods. It should definitely give you an edge being in scalper. And whatever the quick 1% which you are looking for intraday, it should also help you out. Talking about the trading psychology, what are the things you as a scalper needed to do? Yes, the timely execution, all these plays a role. But when it comes to psychology, 90% of the time, people tend to miss even though there is an opportunity available. Why? What is the reason? First and foremost, you may not be confident in your setup. Next thing, you tend to deploy all your capital in a single trade. Third, you would not have the right platform for you to execute it. So I would simply say, first and foremost, do analysis, do backtesting, see whether whatever the strategies which you have chosen, whether it is working or not. And most importantly, don't keep jumping from one strategy to another every 3 months or 6 months. Market is a cycle and a pattern. Every strategy works in the market, but doesn't work all the time. All you needed to do is when it works in your favor, try to make money. When it doesn't, try to stay light. And most importantly, don't go in all in one trade. That's going to be the most critical factor. Imagine if you're going to be deploying 100% of your capital in one single trade, and if the trade goes against you, you tend to lose 40 to 50, or sometimes you can blow your account as well. But imagine a scenario wherein you're deploying only 20% of your capital. You'll still be able to make your 1% return. But even if you're losing, you're not going to be losing beyond 1 or 2%. That's going to help you to recover your loss in the upcoming trades. When there is another opportunity available, you tend to go in. I normally tend to do this. I normally look for 3 opportunities in a day. If my first opportunity is giving me the profit of 1%, I close my system. But if it is going in a loss, then what I normally tend to do is go for a second trade, because we have just like in a loss around 1%. Even if the second trade is going against a loss, then go for the third one, wait for the setup, and then initiate the trade. If all my 3 trades are going in a loss, I would have lost around 3%. That is manageable. In a week, when you are earning around 5 to 6%, if you are losing 2 to 3% in a week, that's still not a problem, wherein you are taking home 2 to 3%. But imagine a scenario wherein you're deploying and then losing 5 to 10% in a single trade. That's where the real problem comes in. Another important lesson, don't ever go into a trade without a stop loss. Whatever be the scenario, you just needed to place your stop loss and predefine it. Most importantly, predefine it. Imagine if you're entering at 300 and if your target is 350, you needed to place your stop loss at 250 no matter what. Maybe plus or minus 5 points, 10 points based on your levels like in the VWAP or the WMA or the Supertrend, but never ever enter into a trade without a stop loss. Last but not the least, if you're having like in a mind wherein you're not able to control when the market is moving against you, don't keep all your capitals in one account. I always insist on people having multiple accounts. Why? First and foremost, it is for 2 reasons. One, on certain days when the trade is going against you, if you do not have the complete capital in one account, you'll still be able to save it. Imagine you keep all your 50 lakhs in one single account, and on a certain day, if you're trying to average it, the mistake which I did it, you would also end up doing it. Never do that. Instead, keep this 50 lakhs in 5 different accounts. Start every account once you complete another account. Say, for example, if I'm taking an opening trade in the morning with a 10 lakh account, made around 10,000, close that account, move on to the next one. That way, you're not going to be making a big profit, and at the same time, you're not going to be making a big loss as well. One more thing, there are certain days there will be like in broker issues or certain brokers may not work, and those days, you don't need to rely on only one. So it's like, don't keep all eggs in one basket. You'll be able to protect it on multiple ways, wherein you're not going to be only losing your capital in a big way, and also you're not going to be sitting idle when certain brokers are going down on certain days. So these are important things as a trader. That way your psychology will be like in getting stronger, and most importantly, bring this quality day in, day out, and especially as a scalper, your emotions and everything which is going to be running around for the 15-minute period, and try to cut your positions. 90% of the time, we tend to enter within 3 to 5 minutes, close our positions, we can focus on something better for the day. That's a big advantage as a scalper. It's up to you. I'm not going to be recommending each one of you to become a scalper. Each of you needed to know your attribute, the personal attribute, whether you are a scalper or an intraday player or a positional player. Based on your emotions, you needed to choose what suits you. And once you identify your strength, stick to that in the long run. That's what is going to be giving you the edge as well. Thank you. Thanks, Joe Stocks, for giving me an opportunity to sharing this strategy with all of you. I hope this strategy will definitely help you to become a better scalper. Thank you.
मुझे यकीन है कि ये टॉक सुनने के बाद हमारे मन में भी एक जोश उठा है। हम भी अपनी मेहनत की कमाई को इन्वेस्ट करके उसको डबल कर सकते हैं। अब ज्यादा कमाई करेंगे तो खर्चा भी करेंगे। अगर ऐसे ही हर खर्चे पर भी आधा पैसा वापस मिले तो आप फ्लिपकार्ट, मिंत्रा, अमेज़न, नाइका जैसी वेबसाइट पर तो खर्चा करते ही होंगे। कैश करो ऐप पे आपको इन सभी वेबसाइट पर और अन्य 1500 ब्रांड्स पर 50% तक का कैशबैक मिलता है। हमें बस कैश करो ऐप पे जाना है, वहां से फ्लिपकार्ट या अन्य कोई भी ब्रांड सिलेक्ट करना है। हमें हर बार की तरह ही शॉपिंग करनी है, लेकिन इस बार मिलेगा कैशबैक। ये कैशबैक आपके हर शॉपिंग पे मिलेगा और वो कैशबैक होगा सभी ऑफर्स, डिस्काउंट, सेल्स या स्पेशल ऑफर्स के डिस्काउंटेड अमाउंट के ऊपर। ऑर्डर प्लेस करने के बाद ये सारा कैशबैक आपके कैश करो वॉलेट में ऐड हो जाएगा, जो कंफर्मेशन पे आप बहुत आसानी से अपने अमेज़न पे, फ्लिपकार्ट गिफ्ट कार्ड या बैंक अकाउंट में भी सीधा ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं। तो ये आदत डाल लो। पहले कैश करो पे आओ, यहाँ से किसी भी साइट पर जाओ और अनलिमिटेड सेविंग्स पाओ। तो कैश करो, ऐश करो। Click on the link in description and download Cash Karo app now.